For all of human history, civilization has been inseparable from Earth. Every city, every empire, every economy, every war, and every cultural story has been shaped by the assumption that Earth is not only our home, but our provider. Food grows from its soil. Energy comes from its depths, its sunlight, its wind, and its water. Even when technology advanced, the foundation never changed. Civilization lived on Earth, depended on Earth, and assumed Earth would always be enough. That assumption is now being quietly challenged, not by philosophers or science fiction writers, but by engineers, physicists, economists, and space agencies. As humanity's energy demand accelerates and environmental limits become harder to ignore, a once unthinkable idea is entering serious discussion. What if the long-term survival of civilization requires resources that do not come from Earth at all? At the center of this idea is the moon, not as a destination, not as a symbol, but as infrastructure. And once survival depends on infrastructure beyond Earth, a deeper question emerges. If humanity relies on the moon to survive, are we still an Earth civilization? Or have we already crossed into something new? The moon has always been close, but never essential. For thousands of years, it shaped tides, calendars, and imagination. Yet human survival did not depend on it in any material sense. Even the Apollo missions reinforced this idea. Humans went to the moon, proved it was possible, and then returned. The message was clear. The moon was impressive, but unnecessary. That message is no longer accurate. Modern civilization consumes energy at a scale unprecedented in history. Energy demand grows faster than population, faster than efficiency gains, and faster than Earth's natural ability to absorb the consequences. Climate instability, resource depletion, and ecological stress are not isolated problems. They are symptoms of a deeper imbalance between civilization and its planetary limits. This has forced scientists to ask a dangerous question. What if Earth cannot safely host the entire energy system of an advanced civilization forever? Once that question is asked, the moon stops being optional. Unlike Earth, the moon offers conditions that are uniquely suited for off-world infrastructure. It has no atmosphere to block sunlight. Certain regions receive near-constant solar exposure. Its gravity is stable and predictable. Its proximity to Earth makes energy transmission and logistical support possible without interplanetary travel. More importantly, the moon contains resources Earth lacks in meaningful quantities. Rare isotopes like helium-3, accumulated over billions of years of exposure to the solar wind, represent potential energy sources that could fundamentally change how humanity powers itself. Even beyond helium-3, the moon offers materials for construction, fuel production, and life support systems that could reduce dependence on Earth-based supply chains. This is why space agencies no longer talk about the moon as a temporary stop. They talk about permanent presence. Permanent presence is not exploration. It is dependency in its earliest form. Dependency changes identity. As long as the moon is optional, humanity remains clearly Earth-based. But the moment critical systems depend on lunar infrastructure, the relationship shifts. If energy grids rely on power generated off-world, Earth becomes a consumer rather than a sole provider. If supply chains include lunar materials, Earth becomes one node in a larger system. If survival strategies assume the moon's availability, civilization's foundation is no longer planetary. At that point, calling humanity an Earth civilization becomes questionable. We would still live on Earth, but Earth would no longer be enough by itself. This transition would not happen suddenly. There would be no announcement declaring the end of Earth-based civilization. Instead, it would unfold quietly through technical decisions. A power station here, a mining operation there, a transmission system added to improve stability. Each step would seem practical, even responsible. Yet, collectively, those steps would represent a civilizational shift as profound as the agricultural revolution or the industrial revolution. Because for the first time, survival would extend beyond one planet. Historically, civilizations have collapsed when their energy systems failed. The fall of empires often followed resource depletion, environmental strain, or logistical breakdown. What makes modern civilization different is scale. Today, collapse would not affect one region. It would affect billions. This is why redundancy has become a survival strategy in engineering. Redundancy means having backups. In civilization, redundancy may mean having more than one planetary foundation. The moon offers that redundancy, but redundancy comes with consequences. Once survival depends on space-based systems, vulnerability shifts upward. Failure no longer occurs only on Earth. A malfunction in orbit, a disrupted transmission, or damage to lunar infrastructure could ripple through economies and societies. Below risks that once belonged to science fiction become engineering realities. And risk always reshapes power. Who controls the moon's infrastructure controls access to survival-critical systems. Even without ownership, control creates influence. Even without violence, dependency creates leverage. This is why discussions about lunar development are inseparable from geopolitics. The moon may be neutral in law, but neutrality becomes fragile when infrastructure replaces symbolism. There is also a psychological transformation that comes with dependency. Earth has always been seen as a complete world, self-sufficient. Whole. Once humanity depends on the moon, Earth becomes incomplete by itself, not broken, but insufficient. This changes how humans perceive their home planet. Earth stops being the singular cradle of civilization and becomes one component of a larger system, a core component, but not the only one. This shift mirrors what happened when humanity first left the ocean. Life did not abandon the sea, but it no longer depended exclusively on it. A new domain became essential. Civilization may now be facing a similar transition, from planetary dependence to multi-domain survival. Some argue that relying on the moon does not mean abandoning Earth, but protecting it. Moving energy generation off-world could reduce environmental strain. Extracting resources beyond Earth could preserve ecosystems. In this view, lunar dependency is not a failure of Earth, but an evolution of stewardship. That argument has merit, but evolution still changes identity. A civilization that cannot survive without off-world systems is no longer purely Earth-based. No matter how much it tries to protect its planet, there is also the question of irreversibility. Once infrastructure exists beyond Earth, removing it becomes unthinkable. Civilization would adapt around it. Economies would reorganize. Technologies would assume its presence. Generations would grow up considering lunar systems normal. At that point, returning to a purely Earth-dependent civilization would be as unrealistic as returning to a pre-industrial world today. The transition would be permanent. This leads to the core question. What defines a civilization? Is it where its people live, where its culture forms, or where its survival systems operate? If survival depends on the moon, then civilization exists partly there. Even if no one permanently lives on its surface, infrastructure becomes as defining as population. By that definition, humanity would no longer be an Earth civilization. It would be a cislunar civilization, spanning Earth and its nearest celestial partner. This realization carries both hope and danger. Hope, because it suggests resilience. A civilization not confined to one planet may endure longer than any before it. Earth would no longer be a single point of failure. Danger, because expansion always brings complexity. Complexity creates fragility, and fragility demands governance that humanity has never successfully implemented at a planetary scale, let alone beyond it. The moon would not just test technology, it would test cooperation. In the end, the question is not whether humanity will go to the moon. That decision has already been made. The real question is whether humanity is prepared for what that dependency implies. Because the moment's survival depends on the moon, civilization crosses an invisible threshold, one that no generation before has ever crossed. Earth will remain our home, but it will no longer be our only foundation. And once civilization rests on more than one world, the definition of what we are changes forever. We may still call ourselves an Earth civilization, but history may remember us differently, as the first civilization that learned how to survive beyond its planet, and in doing so, quietly became something more than planetary, not because we left Earth behind, but because Earth alone was no longer enough.